to another Garage Time with Goody. And today what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to do it in a fast fashion, is to replace a thermostat on a 2008 Hyundai Accent 4-cylinder. And what's happening is it's overheating, and we're approaching winter time and it's overheating. So I'm going to get started on it. Don't have much time, don't have much daylight left. So now the hardest part to this job is opening the hood. Okay. And as we see here, on most cars, what you do is you follow the large radiator hose. Make sure the car's been turned off, or you could burn yourself. So make sure it's been setting for a good 20-30 minutes. Then you'll follow the large radiator hose, and that usually leads to the thermostat. In this case, behind these wires and everything, right behind here in this area, I don't know if you can see it, that metal casing right there is where the thermostat is going to be. So I'm going to figure out what I need to take off in order to get better access to that right there. The first thing I'm going to do is to unhook this vacuum hose that goes into the breather. I'm just going to take a pair of pliers and then just pull up. Comes off easily. Then I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to loosen up the clamps on the breather clamp. Make sure that's loose. And then there should be these clamps that you can just push back on the breather box. There's one on each corner, and it should be able to be pulled off. And then you want to wiggle the breather back, and it should come off just like this. Okay, it appears the best way to access this thermostat housing is to take the actual breather box out. So I have an extension with a 10mm socket. And that should give me enough access so that I can take the thermostat housing nuts off of there.
Here's the first bolt. You don't want to lose those. There's another one down here, lower left. Here's the second bolt.
Back here and behind here where I'm pointing at, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a third bolt back here. It's holding that in, and I'm going to take that third bolt out. Now I'm going to get that third bolt. Now also I want you to make a note that this cabin filter is also attached to the computer of the car, the ECM, and this should come up just like this, and I'm going to put it over here out of the way. Once it's up and out of the way, this is the thermostat housing, and this is where the thermostat is located inside of here. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to remove the battery cables, because there's wiring in this project that could shock you. So I'm removing the battery cables and setting them out of the way. You're going to need an 11mm to get these battery terminals off this top post battery. Or a 10 millimeter. I think this car has been worked on before, so the bolts and nuts are mismatched. So I had an 11 millimeter nut and a 10 millimeter nut. Okay, that is disconnected. Okay, there is going to be the thermostat housing has 2 hoses hooked to it here, and there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's going to be 5 nuts that needs to come off of there. And this next part, you're either going to drain the fluid first, which is what a lot of people do, or I can go ahead and take that off of there and let it catch just a little bit of fluid that leaks out, which is what I'm going to do. So that's entirely up to you. Out of the 5 nuts, 4 of these are 12 millimeter. This one at the top is 13. I don't know if it came factory like that or if this has been worked on before. Okay, the rest of these 4 nuts are going to be 12 millimeter. There's going to be one there, and it's coming out pretty easily. And make sure that you put these in a place that you're not going to lose them. There's one right in the middle here on the housing itself. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. It's kind of hard to get a view, so hopefully you can see that one that's right in the middle. It's a whole bolt that comes out. And there's the bolt. Then there's going to be one right here. It's going to be a bolt. A bolt comes out. And I suspect there's going to be a bolt right underneath here. So we have 2 nuts and 3 bolts all together. Here's the 3rd bolt. This housing should come off. And as this housing comes off, antifreeze is going to leak out. This one's going to look like that. And I'm going to put it above gravity so that no more leaks out. The only thing that's going to leak out is the one in the engine. And as you can see, the bottom hose is the one where I'm going to put this up with higher gravity too, so that no more leaks out than what's leaking out of the engine. And you'll see this opens these 2 holes up. And what we have here, this is where the thermostat is on the bottom one. If you guys can see that thermostat. Not a whole lot of water has leaked out. I'm going to go ahead and pull that thermostat out. And this is what it looks like. And then this is the seal that went over the thermostat to seal it in there. So we're going to get the new part and put it on there. Okay, so what I've done, I went ahead and picked this part up at AutoZone. This was $14 some, and then also the gasket that goes around there that's going to seal the housing so that no water leaks out, and this was like $2. So for $16 and some change. Got a thermostat and the gasket, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on now. If you remember, the old thermostat came out with the spring pointed this way to the engine and the top pointed outward, if you forgot which way it goes in. Just wanted to give you that tip. So as I'm opening the new thermostat, see, it's going to go in just like this with that pointed inward. So I'm going to go down here to the second one and just push that in. I'm going to push that in right there. You see, here's the top. This is where the top housing was. This is the second housing. And this is where the thermostat just goes in just like that, flush. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to line this gasket up with each hole on this thermostat housing. And I'm going to go ahead and get it started a little bit by hand. So I'm going to kind of finger tighten these and make sure that the bolt is going over the gasket like so. And remember, there will be 3 of these. There's one on the left side, right side, and on the top here, almost like a triangle. Now, a lot of people don't take this top housing off, which you don't have to, but I do because it's easier to get to this bottom one. So that's why I took it off. So you just tighten these back up. Okay, those are on there pretty good. Now I'm going to put this top hose back on. Make sure right in here you put the rubber gasket in, and then you're going to put the housing back on. It'll be flush with this right here. When the rubber gasket is on, you just go in a circle and push it on there, and then you put that housing on, and then there will be 2 nuts. I assume that all of them were originally 12, but somebody put an aftermarket one on, which is a 13 millimeter with the same threads. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I'm going to start it by hand. It's 12 millimeter. Then I'm going to start the 13. Since I have the 12 socket on there, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten down the 12. Now I'm going to tighten up the 13, which is the top one. right here. Okay, now we have both housings back on here, good, with the new thermostat in. The next thing I'm gonna do before I put everything back together, I'm gonna make sure that the car has adequate levels of antifreeze in it. On this car, on the reservoir, it has an L for low and an F for full, and it's on low. So I'm checking to make sure it has adequate level of antifreeze. I'm using the kind of antifreeze for this car. I'm also going to start the car and run the engine until the thermostat opens up and sucks the coolant in, and I'm going to see if it's going to overheat before I put the car all back together. Okay, so this should be common sense to some people, but I'm just including this step so you'll know. You're going to have to hook the battery back up. I believe we had an 11, and again, your car should be probably both 10 millimeters. That's the common. This car just has been worked on before. We're going to put the negative back on, and that is a 10 millimeter. Okay, these are on good and tight. I'm going to start it up, let it heat up, and see if it sucks that coolant down into the engine. Also with this car, another complaint was no heat, and that could be because of the thermostat not working right. So I've got the car running, and remember, where some of that antifreeze spilled out, it could, cause a smoke or a burning smell. But everything's okay. I just wanted to let you know that. So I'm gonna let the car run until the engine gets heated up. And like I said, I'm gonna see if it's gonna properly suck the coolant down in. And I'm also gonna be testing the heater to see if heat starts coming out of the heater. You might have asked, how do you know when the thermostat is opened up? Well, sometimes the auxiliary fans kick on when the engine's heated up. Also, when the thermostat opens up, you can see in the liquid reservoir that will be sucked down some, and the fluid level will go down and go into the engine. The heat indicator on the dashboard will also tell you the temperature of the engine. Okay, once everything is tested okay, you're going to put everything back together. This is the computer and the filter, the air box, and you can see right here there is a round hole, and it's going to line up with the hole here. This hole is going to line up with this hole here. So as I'm putting this back in there, you want to be careful with the wires, and at the same time you want to make sure that that goes over that hole just like so, and that these are all going to line up. And that's what I'm doing, is lining them all up. And then I'm going to get the ratchet extension with a 10 millimeter deep well socket. I'm going to put this one on first. Really doesn't matter what order, I don't believe. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on by hand. I'm going to get these hand tightened first, and then I'm going to ratchet them down tighter.
And remember, there's 3 of them. The second one goes right here.
And that third one is going to go in the back. It's back behind the computer here. And this is the computer. So, it goes back right in there. I'm going to set this down in there. Now I'm just going to hand tighten that down. And I'm going to take the ratchet and I'm just going to finish them off. I'm going to make sure these are tight. Those are tight. Make sure these clips are back and out of the way, because the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put this breather, the snorkel breather box. It's called a lot of different things. I'm going to connect it right here. First, you may need to wiggle or finagle that on. And this metal clip right here, breather hose, goes over the valve pan. You just kind of pinch to hold it open, push it down on there, and voila, it's on there. And over here, you push that on there flush, and make sure these clips clip on like this. And there's should be one on each side. There'll be 4 clips, one on each side. There's the 4th clip. Then I want to tighten the clamp back up with a Phillips screwdriver. Make sure these are on there tight, which they are. And that's exactly how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you like these kind of videos, then smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you like. But until next time, until next video, have a good day.